energy is just, like the ways of the world is just, ugh. I saw a video on Threads where someone was like promoting a book right now is like, and it's a video of a child like crying as they do their work. Are they crying or they're eating? I can't remember, but like accurate. Like some days I can't do social media because as soon as I get on it, it's like boom, bad news, boom, another attack. And it's just very, very important to protect your energy. It's so important to protect your energy because it all starts up here. And once up here is compromised, everything else is just going to shit. So, but I do have a really good book to tell you about. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's not waste no time. Let's go. Hey, I'm Brookelyn Mosley, and I am a Black romance storyteller, self-published author of over 50 plus stories. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about my next release, my final release of the year, as far as I know. Things change, but as far as I know, this is going to be the final release of the year, and it is my first age gap romance. This is a story that has been in this thing I call my swipe file, a page in my note app where I have a list of ideas. And this is one of them that I happened upon and wanted to develop even more. So the story is kind of a mix of many things. There's many areas of inspiration that contributed to me actually finally writing the story. For one, it started off as my interest in expanding on the Braxton Hotel, which was a hotel that was mentioned in my Love, Hate, and Revenge series. I had this idea, it was years ago, so long ago, where I wanted it to be a story that was exclusive to my subscribers, my BK insiders, where it would be a serialized like story, but I wanted to send like chapters every week of this idea of this couple owning this hotel where they have their own storyline, but like each room in their hotel has a storyline. So I might still work on that idea. Maybe I might still do something with that, but I had shelved that idea because I could not develop it past a couple of chapters. So I moved on to several other books after, and then I watched Soul Food. So when I watched the movie Soul Food, so first let's start with that. I've watched the movie Soul Food at least, I think that was like my third time watching Soul Food, if I'm not mistaken. I watched it first when it first came out when I was younger. I think I watched it in the theaters. I'm pretty sure I watched it in the movie theaters with my mom because we used to go to the Kings Plaza Mall in Brooklyn when they had a movie theater, and we would go to that movie theater to watch all of the movie. I saw all the Black romance films there, including, I'm pretty sure, Soul Food. I don't remember the movie theater's name, but yeah, the movie theater in Kings Plaza that was once there. I watched it there, and I went there when I was much younger. And I didn't really, when you're young and you're watching, there's so much context that you're gonna miss because there's a lot of life still left to live for you to pick up on everything. So a lot of things were missed during that time. But there was one thing that it was clear to me about, was that I felt like Terry was wronged. I just felt like, why they just keep on coming at this woman and just giving them all her problems, giving them all their problems, and wanting her to sort it out, but then calling her mean. So for my child mental, that is what was clear to me. So then years later, I watched it again as a teenager, and I was able to pick up on more context, in the film because I'm a bit older. But I still didn't get everything. But still, I was like, I don't like the way they treating Terry. Like, why are they treating her like that? Like, she is the one who's coming through. She's the one with the money. She's the one who's like, you know, she's taking care of everything, but they don't want to hear anything that she says. Like, everything they say that she says is just like a problem. And then, like, she's getting, like, bad things are happening to her. So now, in my adult years, in last year, I rewatched the film. And I was pissed. By the end of the movie, I was pissed. Because I was like, oh no. Now, I got all the context, the moments and the situation, and just how dependent, but not respectful of Terry that everybody was. And for days, like, I just would randomly think of like certain scenes in that movie that was just irritating. And the thing that stood out the very most is that she never got an apology. She never got an apology. You have her sister who, bless them, got married, had a child with Terry's boyfriend. They had their thing. They got past that for the most part. We don't know, because based on it, I don't know if they ever really got past it. I think they just, like, life goes on and they just accepted it. Terry for the most part. And, her sister had a baby, got married, boom. Terry now has her own relationship with Miles, I believe was his name, and they have their own thing. I think he wants to become a musician full-time. I think he wants to leave his career and become a musician full-time. Cousin Faith comes into town. Everyone immediately is like, go stay at Terry's house. So yeah, for the sake of not going to giving away, recapping the whole movie, rewatching Soul Food was the final piece in me deciding that I wanted to work on this story I told you about, that with us following a couple for a hotel called the Brookelyn Hotel. However, I wanted to change some things. So I wanted to keep the whole hotel theme going. I wanted to give it, instead of it now becoming about the couple, I wanted to give Terry the story I felt that she deserved. In a sense, there's some similarities in the age gap novella that I'm going to tell you more about, and then there's similarities to Terry's character in particular. So Terry's character inspired Ariel St. James. Ariel is an heiress and a CEO of a Black luxury hospitality empire. She is the eldest of 3 children, and she is the go-to person for everyone's problem. Okay, she and her husband worked together to build this new hotel in the family's business, and she was pretty much left to do everything, handle everything. Even at the start of the story, we see her tackling fires, and all she knows is that world. She doesn't think of ever leaving that world because she believes that everyone needs her and they wouldn't know what to do without her. This is the mountain that she has to move in her story, in that she doesn't prioritize things like happiness and satisfaction. All of those things to her, she finds them to be a luxury, ironically, as an heiress to a Black luxury hospitality brand empire. But to her, like, those things are not important. What's important is order and making sure that things are done in a way that continues the growth of their empire, her family's empire. So all of that changes when she meets Micah Black. Micah Black is this mysterious, magnetic bartender that walks into her hotel and changes everything for her. And and the way that everything plays out, the way that the story is written, it's written in a way where we're discovering we're seeing, or we're witnessing and experiencing Ariel's life transform at the same time that she is. So for her, it's just any other day, for her. Getting a call from her brothers, having to hear about her father doing something that they don't understand, and being pushed to the forefront to handle the situation, get into work, and having things that she would normally not be responsible for dropped on her lap. So for her, it's just a regular day in Ariel St. James' life when she meets Micah Black. Though the two characters are different, all that Ariel knows is affluence and luxury and responsibility and strictness and rigidness. That's who she is. Micah, who's a little more warm and have more rounded, soft edges in his personality, he is also dealing with a difficult time. I'm trying to say it. I'm going to say it in a way where I don't give it away. He's having to balance that and still live his life. So she's 41 in the story, and she's a divorcee and not looking for love. Naturally, she's just looking to maintain the family business at that point. She did the marriage thing. You'll get into the story to see what happened there. So her focus is very much on the family empire, despite the fact that her family does very little and she's the one bearing everything. And Micah is someone who has big dreams. He has really big dreams, but he's putting them off to someday. One day, someday. Those are not important. And when you read the story, it's going to be abundantly clear why he's not thinking past the day that he's in. He's taking it one day at a time because that's all he can do. That's all he's allotted. So why an age gap novella? I've never written an age gap novella. Well, I've written, like I said in my last video, I've written an age gap kind of relationships, not like romance before. So I challenged myself last year. I wanted to try a couple of different tropes, and one of those tropes was medical romance, which I started writing this year as well, which I love. Love is like Grey's Anatomy meets Love Jones, and that one's available in my paid newsletter, Brookelyn Daily. And then it was this age gap novella. When I decided to create Terry's character, I was like, younger man, maybe, for not Terry's character, but you know what I mean, where her character that inspires my character, Ariel St. James. I wanted to try something different, if I could just be really, really honest. I wanted to try my hand at something that I'd never done before, and ended up really liking it and I realized now why, and I realized after I finished writing it why I like it. I like it because it's like a forbidden romance, and I tend to like writing forbidden romances. They're exciting, they're fun, and they keep me engaged and they keep it interesting. And that's very important when you're writing, is that you like what you're writing and you're enjoying yourself. And I found myself getting lost in their world of them. What I love about the story is that it gave me the ending I wanted. Because like I said, I was really not happy with the way that Soul Food ended. I love the movie, love the acting. The acting's incredible in Soul Food. Like that one scene when they're in the kitchen and Terry reveals, I let the family into my house. You know what the family did? Family, my husband. That was improv, she said. She said that wasn't even in the script. So I love the movie. All in all, I thought the acting was incredible. It was just that ending, and I needed a relief. Like, it's very similar to the reason I wrote my story Wrath, after I had read a story about a young girl in Texas and what happened to her. And I was just like, okay, that's how I'm able to process, I guess, the woes of the world, like the terrible moments where you feel almost powerless, and where I just wanted to just create a better ending, where this woman who is everything to everybody finally gets her everything, finally gets something for herself, and doesn't feel like, you know, this is, I don't really need to have this, you know, love is really not that important, you know, not when I have my whole family, you know, depending on me. My favorite scenes to draft in this story are the scenes dealing with Micah, the bar, and the drinks. There's one particular scene that I love that reminds me a little bit of myself with Micah, in that he is still warm to others despite what he's going through. Like, he doesn't treat others, and he does not exude the effects of what he's dealing with, because he's dealing with something very heavy in the story, which when you read How to Lose Control in 42 Days, you'll see what the heavy is. And it's beautiful how he's able to still show up as this kind, gentle, understanding, giving individual when he's having something that's slowly slipping away. For me, How to Lose Control flowed. It was one of those stories where from the outline, I was excited to write it. And usually from the outline, like, I can know, okay, am I gonna really like it? Because it was from the outline, for the idea that I mentioned from the Love, Hate, and Revenge series for the Braxton Hotel, where I wanted to do the thing with the couple and the different rooms having their own stories. The outline was just not, there was too many kinks for me to actually say, okay, let me just go through with it, let me write it, and let's see what happens. Like, if the outline is not catching me, if the outline is not doing it for me, then I'm not doing it. But from the outline and Scrivener, when I was organizing the index cards and putting them in folders and developing their characters and getting the small details about them and putting them together, and after I wrote that first chapter, I was like, okay, and that first chapter flowed for me. It was just like butter. So once I was able to do that, I was like, okay, I love this story already. I love these characters. And I was excited to get through to write it. Writing an age gap novella for the first time, it wasn't something that I found to be difficult. I will say that I wanted to avoid cliches. I wanted to give something fresh and something different. I like the idea of Ariel being the one who was like the heiress and the person who had to, you know, balance and be responsible for people. I wanted her to be the one who was with the money. I wanted her to be the rich one. I wanted her to be the boss, really. And I wanted Micah to be a man who was both masculine but still soft in his own way, still gentle in his own way, but still a man, you know, because you can be both. There's a wonderful balance between the two. It doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be someone who's like weak and gentle, you know, who's timid but sweet. Like, he could be sweet and still masculine, you know, and still show up as a man, be the strength, be your own kind of strength. So I felt like he did that. One thing that I would say that was really nerving to me, very where I was like, should I do that? Should I change that? It was their ages, because she's 41 and he's 28, and it's a 13-year age gap. I've done an age gap, kind of like erotica type of thing. Was that how many? That was like 8 years. That was in Callie and Lee. That was like an erotic romance. That was like 8 years. So this is like is this the larger one? I don't know. I forget how old Mello was in his short story in the Forbidden Anthology. But yeah, I was a little nervous because I was like, I wonder how people are going to take to the age. Even now, like, there's some concern with that, where I'm like, I wonder how people are going to take to the age. I don't think 13 years is bad, but Everyone's tastes are different. What I will say is that if you are looking, the way that I wrote this story is this two individuals who are falling in love. The age is not even like, I mean, it comes in question for Ariel because she is in her head. She lives in her head. So she is, she has those moments of discomfort in their ages, but the romance is woven so beautifully that I don't even think that it becomes a second thought. Really, I don't. There's a forbidden aspect. There's that aspect of Ariel restraining from what she's feeling because she feels on an impact when she sees Micah. But other than that, I don't think the age is like that. It's not that big a deal. So yeah, How to Lose Control in 42 Days will be available on October 16th on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on my website by brooklynmosley.com, and everywhere that you download your books, as far as I know. And there's no stories you need to read before it. Like I said in my last video, Ariel is mentioned in My Only, but no notable characters are in How to Lose Control in 42 Days. So if this was going to be your very first read by me, no homework needed. Okay, you can jump right in. For now, thank you so much for hanging with me again today for episode 3, talking about How to Lose Control in 42 Days. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if this is going to be your first age gap novella. If you are an age gap romance fan, what are some of your favorite age gap novellas or romances, novels? Let me know, because I want to get into them too, as far as like reading. I've read a few, but I want to read a bit more. And yeah, so in the next episode, I'm going to be sharing my 2026 plans, because I already have my 2026 plans and I am excited to share what it is I'm going to be working on next year. One of which is completing the final series that is still unfinished, while starting a new series. So if you want to learn about that, make sure that you subscribe so that we can talk about the 2026 plans. Until then, bye. Thanks for watching.